My 32nd birthday, a chilling whisper about changing locks revealed my dream guy was a ruthless con artist, systematically stealing my life, forging my signature, and living a shocking double life. How my family caught him red-handed and helped me rebuild after unimaginable betrayal. It was my 32nd birthday, surrounded by everyone I loved, when my mother, Elena, leaned over to my dad, David, and whispered something chilling. "While everyone's here," she urged him, "tell Noah to go change the locks at her apartment." That one sentence shattered my perfect world, and I knew, instantly, my life was about to unravel. My brother Noah nodded grimly and slipped away, only to return an hour later, paler than the tablecloth, with a whisper to my mom that would haunt me. "Mom, there's someone else there." Just hours before, everything had felt perfect. I was sitting in my favorite Italian cafe, Bellini's, surrounded by smiling faces and birthday candles. 3 years with Leo, my dream guy, though he was inexplicably absent from my own birthday dinner. I'd seen Mom, Elena, leaning into Dad, David, whispering something urgent. Then Dad turned to my brother, Noah. "While everyone's here," he instructed quietly, "go change the locks at her apartment." Noah left immediately. What did they know that I didn't? What were they hiding? I should have seen the signs. 3 years earlier, I met Leo Jenkins at a digital marketing conference. I was presenting, he was representing a client. Our panel discussions sparked into coffee, then dinner, then countless weekend trips between our cities until he finally relocated to be with me. His warm, amber eyes and genuine interest in my thoughts made me feel truly seen. When he suggested moving in together after 18 months, I didn't hesitate. Our apartment became our sanctuary. Photos of us hiking in Colorado, sampling wine in Napa, visiting my family, they filled every shelf. We talked about marriage as an eventuality, not an if, but a when. Leo even casually mentioned children, suggesting we'd make beautiful babies. He had beautiful brown skin and striking hazel eyes. These weren't just empty words. We discussed timelines, savings plans, even browsing neighborhoods with good schools. My career as a marketing executive at Atlas Media had been steadily climbing. My last campaign earned me a substantial promotion and a team leadership role. The work was demanding, but fulfilling. Some weeks I'd get home after 9. Other times, Leo would be the one texting he'd be late. We understood each other's ambitions and supported them. Financial independence was something I prided myself on. My grandmother had drilled into me the importance of maintaining my own accounts and investments, regardless of relationship status. A woman should always be able to buy herself a house and feed herself without depending on anyone, she'd say. Though Leo and I shared household expenses, we maintained separate finances. Or so I thought. My family had welcomed Leo warmly, but maintained a slight reservation that I attributed to natural protectiveness. My older brother, Noah, a security consultant, would occasionally ask probing questions about Leo's background or career that sometimes bordered on interrogation. My mother, Elena, with her uncanny intuition, would study Leo during our weekly family dinners, her expression thoughtful. Dad, steady and wise as always, was friendlier, but still watched carefully. I'd roll my eyes at their overprotectiveness while secretly appreciating their vigilance. These weekly dinners were sacred tradition. Every Sunday at my parents' suburban home, or occasionally at Noah's downtown loft, we'd gather for Mom's cooking and family updates. Leo attended most, though business travel sometimes prevented it. Those absences never raised flags, until recently. The first changes were subtle. 2 months before my birthday, Leo started working late more frequently. Not just an hour here or there, but returning home after midnight several times weekly. His marketing consultancy was landing bigger clients, he explained, requiring more intensive preparation and client dinners. I understood completely. Hadn't I done the same during major campaigns? Then his phone suddenly acquired a new password. When I raised an eyebrow, Leo laughed it off, saying a client had strict confidentiality requirements. His formerly open phone now turned face down when he set it on tables. Texts arrived late at night that he'd step outside to answer. Again, I rationalized. Client confidentiality was real, and I respected professional boundaries. Unexplained expenses appeared. Nothing major, but restaurant charges in neighborhoods we never visited. Rideshare trips at odd hours, small jewelry purchases. When asked casually about these, Leo provided plausible explanations. Networking events, transportation for clients, a birthday gift for his sister. The explanations came quickly, confidently, making me doubt my own suspicions. Physical affection decreased incrementally. Less frequent kisses, shorter embraces, intimacy initiated less often. Work stress, he explained. A new fitness regimen leaving him tired. Seasonal allergies, making him unwell. Each excuse reasonable in isolation. Weekend plans together began evaporating. A client emergency requiring Saturday attention. A sudden business trip, helping a friend move, family obligations he'd forgotten to mention. Our traditional Saturday morning coffee and farmers market visits disappeared from our routine. My 32nd birthday approached with Leo growing increasingly distant. The final disappointment came 3 days before when he regretfully informed me he couldn't attend my birthday dinner because an important client had scheduled an emergency strategy session. I tried to reschedule, babe, but they're flying in specifically for this. The account is worth millions, he explained, looking genuinely torn. We'll celebrate just us this weekend. I promise. Anywhere you want to go. I nodded, understanding, while swallowing my disappointment. My family immediately stepped up, insisting they'd make my birthday special. Mom reserved a private room at Bellini's, my favorite Italian cafe, and invited my closest friends to join our family celebration. Don't worry about Leo, Mom said with an odd edge to her voice. We'll make sure your day is special. I didn't recognize then that my mother wasn't just being supportive. She was preparing for something much more serious than a boyfriend missing a birthday dinner. The week before my birthday, small incidents began accumulating like storm clouds on the horizon. While doing laundry, I found a receipt in Leo's jacket pocket from Cassandra's jewelers. The purchase was significant, $800, but I couldn't reconcile it with any gift I'd received. Our anniversary had passed 2 months earlier with just flowers and dinner. When I casually mentioned finding the receipt, Leo snatched it from my hand. That was supposed to be a surprise for your birthday, he said, looking annoyed. Thanks for ruining it. I apologized immediately, feeling guilty for snooping and ruining a potential surprise. Yet, something felt off about his reaction. More anger than disappointment. I dismissed the feeling, chiding myself for being suspicious of a generous gesture. 3 days before my birthday, I overheard Leo on the phone in our spare bedroom speaking in hushed tones. She doesn't suspect anything. No, everything's on schedule. Don't worry, I've taken care of it. Yes, Thursday night would be perfect while she's at dinner. When I entered the room, Leo abruptly ended the call. Work stuff, he explained smoothly, trying to coordinate surprise client deliverables. When questioned further, he became defensively angry. Do I need to record my work calls for your approval now? This project is stressful enough without the 3rd degree. His uncharacteristic sharpness left me speechless. I retreated, murmuring apologies, while mentally cataloging this new behavior. That evening, my friend Chloe called to finalize birthday plans. During our conversation, she mentioned casually, "Hey, I saw Leo downtown yesterday with some clients." I waved, but he must not have seen me. My stomach tightened. Leo had told me he was at an all-day strategy session in the suburbs. Are you sure it was him? I asked. Positive, she replied. Outside Remington Tower around 2 o'clock, dark blue suit, that messenger bag he always carries. I manufactured an excuse, perhaps a surprise downtown meeting, and changed the subject. Later, I asked Leo how his suburban meeting had gone. Productive, he answered without looking up from his laptop. We finalized the quarterly strategy. I waited for him to mention any downtown excursion. He said nothing, leaving me to wonder what other lies might be accumulating between us. Despite these warning signals, I rationalized each one away. Leo was planning a birthday surprise. Work pressures were making him secretive. Downtown meetings happened spontaneously sometimes. I was being paranoid. Manufacturing problems where none existed. Our foundation was too solid to question over such minor inconsistencies. The morning of my birthday arrived with Leo already gone from bed when I woke at 7:30. A note on his pillow read, "Happy birthday. Early client breakfast. See you tonight." A single rose lay beside it, pretty but impersonal compared to previous birthdays when I'd awakened to elaborate surprises. He returned briefly while I was getting ready, giving me a quick peck on the cheek and a small wrap box. "Something to wear tonight," he said, already heading toward the shower. Inside was a simple silver bracelet, beautiful, but lacking the personal touch of previous gifts. No engraving, no significance to our relationship. Nothing that couldn't have been purchased for anyone. I thanked him warmly anyway, fighting disappointment. As he dressed, a text notification illuminated his phone's screen momentarily. Asterisk, can't wait to see you later. Everything's ready. Asterisk, the sender's name wasn't visible. My brother Noah called unusually early, his tone overly casual. "Just checking what time dinner is tonight. Also, do you need me to pick up anything from your place beforehand?"
No.
"Why would you need to come to my apartment?" I asked, confused. "Just offering." He backpedaled quickly. "Thought you might need something brought to the restaurant." My mother called next, her questions oddly specific. "Is Leo there now? What time is he leaving? Will you two be coming to the restaurant separately?" When I mentioned Leo's work commitment, her silence spoke volumes before she carefully responded, "I see. Well, we'll make sure you have a wonderful evening regardless." As I prepared for dinner alone in our apartment, emotions washed over me in waves. 3 years with Leo, yet tonight, he prioritized work over my birthday. I tried focusing on makeup application while blinking back tears, telling myself I was overreacting. Opening the closet for my dress, I noticed Leo's weekend suitcase partially packed on his closet shelf. A work trip he hadn't mentioned. The sinking feeling intensified. I dropped an earring that rolled under our bed. I reached beneath and found something unexpected. Another earring, but not mine. Silver with a small blue stone, unfamiliar and definitely not belonging to me. My hands trembled as I examined it, searching for innocent explanations. A friend who visited? Something that came with purchased furniture? The possibilities felt increasingly implausible. Still, I placed the strange earring in my jewelry box rather than confronting Leo. Tonight was my birthday. I deserved celebration without drama or suspicion clouding the evening. Tomorrow would be time enough for difficult questions. Arriving at Bellini's at 7, my family greeted me with hugs and forced enthusiasm. My father, David, embraced me longer than usual, while my mother studied my face with poorly concealed concern. Noah's hug felt protective, almost apologetic. The private dining room looked beautiful, flowers, candles, and a happy birthday banner. An empty chair where Leo would have sat remained conspicuously vacant, drawing my eyes repeatedly throughout the evening. Throughout appetizers, I noticed my family exchanging meaningful glances when they thought I wasn't looking. Noah checked his phone every few minutes, typing rapid responses. My mother maintained artificial cheerfulness that never reached her eyes, while Dad asked unusually detailed questions about my apartment building's security features. "Does your building have cameras in the parking area?" he inquired casually. "Has the management changed the building access codes recently?" When I questioned these security concerns, he waved dismissively. "Just thinking about urban safety. You can never be too careful." Their behavior intensified my unease. My family knew something they weren't sharing. As much as they tried maintaining normal conversation, tension permeated the celebration like invisible smoke, gradually suffocating the festive atmosphere. Midway through our main course, my mother's phone chimed with a text. Her face paled as she read it, immediately leaning toward my father and whispering urgently. Their whispered conference lasted several intense minutes, expressions growing increasingly troubled. Dad nodded grimly, then turned to Noah. "Well, everyone's here," he said quietly, but clearly enough for me to hear. "Go change the locks at her apartment." Noah nodded immediately, standing and making apologies about an emergency call. He squeezed my shoulder reassuringly before leaving, but his expression betrayed concern rather than birthday wishes. Though I pretended absorption in conversation with my cousin Sarah, my mind raced chaotically. Why would they change my locks? What emergency warranted this action during my birthday dinner? The only logical explanation sent ice through my veins. They believed Leo posed some threat to my home or possessions. Memories cascaded through my thoughts. Leo's recent secretive behavior. Unexplained absences. The packed suitcase. Password-protected phone. Mysterious jewelry receipt. The unfamiliar earring under our bed. Pieces began connecting into a horrifying mosaic. I recalled Leo asking unusual questions about my investment accounts recently, whether I kept statements at home or received them electronically, whether my passwords were saved on our shared laptop. At the time, I thought he was showing interest in financial planning for a future. Other disconcerting realizations surfaced. Small items had gone missing from our apartment recently. A pair of diamond earrings from my grandmother, an expensive watch, some commemorative coins my father had given me. I had attributed their disappearance to misplacement or a cleaning mishap. My stomach clenched as another memory emerged, Leo encouraging me to add him to my apartment lease 6 months ago. I declined, explaining my grandmother's advice about maintaining separate finances had extended to keeping the apartment in my name only. He'd been unexpectedly angry about this boundary. Excusing myself to the restroom, I locked myself in a stall and tried controlling my rapid breathing. My hands shook as I considered calling Leo, demanding explanations. Instead, I checked my own phone and found a text from an unknown number. Asterisk your boyfriend isn't who you think he is. Check your bank accounts. Asterisk legs unsteady. I returned to the table with what must have been an unconvincing smile. My friends and family redoubled efforts to maintain celebratory appearances. Chloe launched into an elaborate story about workplace drama. My cousin demonstrated card tricks. Mom encouraged everyone to share favorite memories of me from childhood through adulthood. Their transparent attempts at distraction only heightened my anxiety. Between animated stories, my mother checked her watch repeatedly. Dad stepped outside twice for phone calls, returning with a tightened jaw and strained smiles. Conversation grew increasingly loud and artificial, as though volume could compensate for the tension permeating the room. 45 minutes passed with no word from Noah. His absence stretched well beyond what a simple lock change should require. Mom's frequent phone checks became less subtle, her brow furrowing with each glance. Dad called Noah's phone, stepping away from the table, but I caught fragments. Should have been back. What did you find? How serious? The gift-giving portion of the evening arrived. Presents placed before me, with encouraging smiles. I opened them mechanically. Books, perfume, jewelry, thanking everyone warmly while feeling increasingly disconnected from the celebration. These normal birthday rituals felt surreal against the backdrop of growing dread about what Noah might be discovering at my apartment. As my friend Sophia described the careful selection of her gift, a leather journal with my initials, I noticed my parents exchanging worried glances following another text. My mother's knuckles whitened around her phone. Shouldn't Noah be back by now? I finally asked, unable to maintain the pretense any longer. It doesn't take an hour to change locks. An uncomfortable silence fell over the table. My father cleared his throat, preparing what appeared to be a carefully constructed response. Before he could speak, I continued. What's happening? Why are you changing my locks? What do you know about Leo that I don't? Sweetheart, my mother began, reaching for my hand. We should discuss this privately. No, I insisted, my voice rising despite the restaurant setting. I want to know now what's going on that requires changing my locks during my birthday dinner. The painful silence stretched until Dad sighed deeply. We received some concerning information about Leo today. We wanted to secure your apartment before. The private room door opened, interrupting his explanation. Noah entered, his face grim. He immediately approached our parents, bending to whisper urgently. I caught only fragments. Mom, there's someone else there. And that's not all. My family huddled in intense discussions several feet away, their expressions growing increasingly troubled. Whatever Noah had discovered clearly exceeded even their worst expectations. I stood abruptly, chairs scraping loudly against the floor. Tell me what's happening right now, I demanded, advancing toward their conference. This is my life, my apartment, my relationship. I deserve to know. The restaurant suddenly felt suffocating, the cheerful music, flickering candles, and birthday decorations forming a grotesque contrast to the family crisis unfolding within our private room. Whatever awaited me beyond this celebration would forever divide my life into before and after. Noah approached me first, placing steady hands on my shoulders. Maya, we need to talk somewhere private, he said gently. This isn't the place. Tell me now, I insisted, my voice steadier than I felt. Whatever it is, I can handle it. My family exchanged glances before my father nodded reluctantly. Noah guided me to sit while my parents dismissed my friends with quiet explanations. Soon, only family remained in the private dining room. We received a call this afternoon. My father began carefully, from a woman named Isabel Johnson. The unfamiliar name hung in the air momentarily before he continued. She discovered some disturbing information about Leo. She believed she was his only girlfriend until finding photos of you in his wallet yesterday. My mouth dried instantly. What are you saying? Leo has been seeing this woman for 8 months, Noah explained, maintaining eye contact despite the pain his words caused. When she confronted him, he claimed you were just a roommate. She didn't believe him and did some digging. She found evidence he's been systematically stealing from you, my mother added softly. Financial documents, account numbers. She called us because she found our contact information in his notes, listed as emergency contacts for you, Maya. Noah continued grimly. When I arrived at your apartment to change the locks, I found Leo there with Isabel. They were arguing about leaving. Your apartment, he hesitated, was being packed up. Valuables, electronics, jewelry. He paused. They had suitcases and boxes ready. My brother pulled out his phone reluctantly, showing me photos he'd taken as evidence. Leo and an attractive woman standing amid packed luggage in my living room. My television unmounted from the wall. Jewelry boxes open on the counter. Financial documents spread across the dining table. Many bearing my signature, or what appeared to be my signature. He's been transferring money from your accounts, Noah explained. Small amounts over time, plus a larger transfer yesterday. Almost $20,000 total. The room tilted momentarily as blood rushed from my head. 3 years together, building what I thought was a future, while he plotted systematic theft. The woman, Isabel. She didn't know, my father added. She's as shocked as you are. Apparently, Leo told her your apartment was his, that he was letting you stay temporarily as a favor to a friend. He had plans to leave today, Noah continued. After your birthday dinner, while you were celebrating with us, he intended to take everything valuable from you in your apartment and disappear. My mother's eyes filled with tears. We wanted to secure your home before telling you. We never imagined he'd be there already, or that it would be this extensive. The betrayal expanded beyond romantic infidelity into calculated criminal behavior. Every loving gesture, every promise, every shared dream now recontextualized as grooming for eventual theft. I need to see, I said, standing abruptly. I need to go to my apartment now. The police are already there, Noah explained. I called them immediately when I discovered what was happening. They're taking statements and cataloging evidence. Then that's where I need to be, I insisted. This is my home, my life. I need to see exactly what he's done. Despite their concerns about my emotional state, my family couldn't argue with my right to confront the situation directly. Noah agreed to drive me while my parents settled the bill and followed separately. There's more, Noah warned as we walked to his car. Leo has been selling your possessions online gradually. Smaller items you might not immediately notice. Designer bags, some jewelry, collectibles. The receipts were in a folder labeled inventory. Each new revelation landed like a physical blow. Items I'd attributed to misplacement had actually been sold by the man sharing my bed. The careful planning required for such systematic theft made me physically ill. He forged your signature on loan documents, Noah continued reluctantly. Took out a personal loan in your name for $30,000 last month. The funds were transferred to an account we don't recognize. How did I miss this? I whispered, buckling into the passenger seat. He was careful, Noah responded. Professional con artists usually are. The description landed heavily. Leo wasn't just a cheating boyfriend. He was a predator who had specifically targeted me for financial exploitation. There's evidence of other women, too, Noah added gently. Photos, messages. This appears to be his pattern. My phone displayed 4 missed calls from Leo during our drive. As we pulled into my apartment complex, a 5th call came through. I declined it silently, noticing a text bubble appear immediately. Asterisk babe, there's been a huge misunderstanding. Call me as soon as possible. Asterisk an unfamiliar car occupied my assigned parking space, presumably Isabel's. 2 police cruisers flanked it, their presence simultaneously reassuring and humiliating. My deception would now become official record, documented in police reports and potential court proceedings. I straightened my spine, determination replacing shock. Whatever awaited inside my apartment, I would face it directly. My brother beside me, parents following behind, and officers awaiting my arrival formed a support system Leo had never anticipated. He expected to disappear while I celebrated obliviously with family. Instead, he would face exactly what he had created. Ready? Noah asked, hand on my shoulder. I nodded, stepping toward my apartment building with steadier steps than I expected. 3 years of lies were about to meet their reckoning. The locksmith Noah had hired worked quickly, installing new deadbolts and providing fresh keys while police officers supervised. The original keys now dangled from my brother's keychain, permanently invalidated. Using the new key felt symbolic, reclaiming ownership of a space that had nearly been stolen from me. Upon opening my apartment door, the animated voices inside instantly silenced. My living room, normally immaculate, resembled a staging area for moving day. Suitcases stood by the door. Boxes lined the wall, and various valuables had been gathered on the dining table. Seeing my possessions organized for theft was surreal. Leo stood near the balcony door, his face transitioning from argumentative to shocked as I entered with Noah and 2 officers behind me. A striking woman with copper hair, presumably Isabel, sat on my sofa, eyes red from apparent crying. Maya. Leo recovered quickly, his voice shifting to relieved. Thank God you're here. This crazy woman broke into our apartment claiming to be my girlfriend. The police aren't listening. Tell them we're together. His performance was flawless. Concerned boyfriend seeking help against a deranged intruder. Had I not seen Noah's photos and heard my family's explanations, his act might have convinced me. Save it. I responded coldly. I know everything. Leo's expression faltered momentarily before recalibrating. Babe, whatever she told you is crazy. I just met her last week at a networking event. She's stalking me. Isabel stood in incredulity, replacing sadness. Are you kidding me right now? We've been dating 8 months. I have hundreds of photos, texts, receipts. Officers, I addressed the police directly. This man has been transferring money from my accounts without permission and apparently forging my signature on loan documents. My brother discovered him removing valuables from my apartment. I want to press charges. Leo's facade cracked further. Maya, come on. We can talk about this privately. There's a reasonable explanation for everything. Like the jewelry you've been selling online? I questioned. Or the loan you took out in my name. Or perhaps you'd like to explain these packed suitcases on my birthday. As realization dawned that his manipulation had failed, Leo's demeanor transformed entirely. The charming, loving partner vanished, replaced by cold calculation. You can't prove anything, he stated flatly. We've been living together. These are joint possessions. Actually, Noah interjected. The apartment lease is solely in Maya's name. You're not on any of the documentation, and we have evidence of the unauthorized transfers and forged signatures. Isabel approached cautiously, maintaining distance from Leo. I had no idea, she told me directly. He told me this was his apartment, that you were temporarily staying in. When I found your photo yesterday and confronted him, he claimed you were just a platonic roommate. I started investigating and found all these financial documents with your name. She gestured toward the dining table where papers lay scattered: bank statements, transfer authorizations, loan applications. My signature, or a reasonable facsimile, appeared on multiple documents I'd never seen before. She showed up today demanding answers. Leo attempted explaining to the officers. I was just trying to calm her down by packing up my possessions. Whose possessions? I challenged, gesturing toward the suitcases. Opening the nearest one revealed my laptop, jewelry cases, and several designer handbags. I can explain everything, Leo insisted, desperation entering his voice. Maya, we've been together 3 years. Are you really going to believe some random woman over me? The police officer intervened. Sir, there's considerable evidence of potential theft and forgery here. We'll need statements from everyone, and I recommend you come to the station voluntarily. Leo's face hardened as he realized the severity of his situation. His eyes darted toward the door, calculating escape possibilities, with officers blocking the exit. A strange calm settled over me as I fully comprehended the magnitude of his betrayal. The shock and emotional turmoil temporarily receded, replaced by icy determination. You have 30 minutes to collect only your personal clothing, I stated evenly. Nothing else. My brother and these officers will supervise. After that, you're never to contact me again. You're overreacting. Leo attempted, switching tactics. This is just a misunderstanding about finances between partners. I love you. We can work through this. Partners don't forge signatures or drain accounts, I responded. Partners don't plan escapes with stolen property. And partners certainly don't maintain relationships with multiple women simultaneously. Isabel approached me hesitantly. I found these in his car, she said, extending a small pouch containing familiar items. My grandmother's sapphire earrings I'd thought lost months ago. A gold bracelet for my 21st birthday. And my college class ring. He told me they were family heirlooms he was planning to have reset for me, she explained, voice trembling. I'm so sorry. I had no idea they were stolen. The personal violation intensified. Not only had Leo stolen my possessions, but he'd repurposed family heirlooms as romantic gifts for another woman. While Leo gathered clothing under Noah's watchful eye, my father arrived with more devastating news. The bank confirmed unauthorized transfers from your investment account, he reported quietly. Almost $40,000 over the past 3 months, including a large transfer yesterday. They've frozen everything pending investigation. My mother embraced me silently. Her earlier suspicions now painfully validated. Her intuition about Leo had proven correct, though the extent of his deception exceeded even her cautious assessment. One officer took detailed photographs of the apartment, its condition, packed boxes, financial documents, gathered valuables, while another began formal statements from everyone present. The official documentation of the crime scene transformed my home into evidence. We'll need documentation of all potentially stolen items, the officer explained. Account statements showing unauthorized transactions, proof of ownership for valuable items, and any evidence of forgery. Leo emerged from the bedroom with a single duffel bag, expression now coldly tactical. This isn't over, he stated flatly. Half of everything here is legally mine under common law. That's incorrect, my father interjected. There's no common law marriage in the state, and cohabitation doesn't establish ownership rights to individually purchased property. Leo's miscalculation revealed another layer of his character. He'd researched enough to execute sophisticated financial theft, but failed to understand basic property law. His confidence had presumed my ignorance would protect his scheme. As officers prepared to escort Leo for further questioning, he attempted one final manipulation. Maya, think about what you're doing. 3 years together, thrown away over a financial misunderstanding. I love you. We can work through this. The hollowness of his declaration highlighted how completely our relationship had been fabricated. Every I love you now recontextualized as strategic advancement toward eventual theft. The locks have been changed. I responded evenly. Any attempt to return will result in trespassing charges. My father contacted our family attorney as officers departed with Leo. The lawyer immediately began processing an emergency restraining order based on financial abuse and potential threat. Property recovery and identity theft protection became immediate priorities. Isabel remained, providing additional context to Leo's double life. They'd met at a coffee shop, his preferred hunting ground for targets, I remembered bitterly, and developed a relationship built on similar lies to those he told me initially. He told me he was a marketing executive with family money, she explained. Always generous with gifts that apparently were stolen from you. Always had explanations for why I couldn't come to his place. Off on business trips, renovations, family visiting. Her experience paralleled my own early relationship with Leo. Excessive generosity, intense romance, plausible excuses for questionable behavior. The pattern suggested professional calculation rather than opportunistic deception. There are others, Isabel confirmed, showing me social media posts she discovered from women sharing similar experiences with him under different names. He operated in 3 different cities that I've confirmed, probably more. The predatory pattern extended back years, predating our relationship. Leo wasn't an opportunist who succumbed to temptation. He was a practiced con artist who specifically selected targets for maximum financial gain. My professional life required attention despite personal chaos. Thankfully, my supervisor at Atlas Media responded with unexpected compassion when I requested emergency personal leave. Take 2 weeks paid, she insisted. Identity theft is traumatic, especially from someone you trusted. Your projects are covered. Focus on recovery. Her response highlighted the contrast between authentic support and Leo's counterfeit concern. Real relationships provided space for vulnerability. His exploitation had required my constant strength and independence. Practical recovery steps occupied my daylight hours. Police detectives gathered evidence for potential criminal charges. Lawyers prepared civil recovery actions. Financial advisors rebuilt security protocols for all accounts, each conversation requiring a humiliating recounting of my deception. Nights brought emotional processing no professional could fully address. My journal became an essential therapeutic outlet. Pages filled with rage, confusion, and emerging insights about warning signs I'd ignored. Therapy sessions began, focused initially on crisis management before deeper excavation of relationship patterns. Financial abuse follows recognizable patterns, my therapist explained during our first emergency session. The isolation from financial knowledge, gradual boundary testing, and exploitation of trust are unfortunately common. This doesn't reflect your intelligence or judgment. Her assurance provided minimal comfort against overwhelming evidence of my failure to protect myself. Years of priding myself on independence and financial literacy hadn't prevented sophisticated predation. Support expanded beyond family. Friends organized cleaning crews to help rearrange furniture and redecorate, creating visual breaks from spaces Leo had occupied. Colleagues delivered meals and ran errands, minimizing my public appearances while emotions remained raw. My apartment building management enhanced security protocols and provided new access cards after learning the circumstances. 1 week after the discovery, Leo was arrested on multiple charges, including grand theft, identity fraud, and forgery. His bail hearing revealed previous arrests in other states under different names, escalating potential consequences. The prosecution's evidence included meticulous records he'd maintained of his systematic theft. His organizational skills, ultimately contributing to his downfall. My brother temporarily moved into my spare bedroom, providing security and practical support while legal proceedings advanced. His protective presence allowed a gradual rebuilding of safety within my home, though emotional security remained a distant objective. Daily discoveries of Leo's deception continued emerging. Hidden storage units contained items missing from my apartment months earlier. Email accounts revealed networking with other con artists sharing techniques. Bank investigations uncovered offshore transfers, suggesting a more extensive operation than initially apparent. The comprehensive betrayal extended beyond romantic deception into existential questioning. If someone could convincingly fake love for 3 years, what other relationships might prove illusory? What instincts could I trust when my judgment had failed so catastrophically? What parts of my identity remained intact when so much had been constructed around a fundamental falsehood? These questions formed the foundation for recovery beyond practical concerns. Financial resources could be rebuilt. Legal consequences pursued. Security protocols enhanced. But trust required more complex reconstruction, beginning with rebuilding trust in myself. 6 months after my birthday revelation, tangible progress emerged from the chaos. Financial recovery advanced steadily through insurance claims, civil judgments, and recovered assets from Leo's storage units. Approximately 60% of stolen funds returned to my accounts, with payment plans established for remaining amounts. Legal proceedings against Leo gained momentum as additional victims came forward following media coverage of his arrest. Prosecutors built a comprehensive case spanning multiple jurisdictions, revealing a pattern of financial exploitation targeting professional women across 3 states. His sophisticated approach qualified for enhanced sentencing guidelines under organized crime statutes. My apartment underwent a complete transformation. New furniture, different paint colors, a rearranged layout, erasing visual reminders of Leo's presence. The space that once triggered painful memories gradually became a sanctuary again, filled with intentionally selected items, representing only my preferences and history. Professional advancement provided unexpected healing. The marketing campaign I developed shortly after returning from leave received industry recognition, leading to a promotion and team leadership responsibilities. Colleagues who had supported my recovery celebrated this professional validation, understanding its significance beyond career development. "You rebuilt from scratch," my director noted during my performance review. "That resilience translates directly to leadership capacity. You've demonstrated exceptional strength." Internal strength remained a work in progress, but external recognition provided milestones marking the distance traveled from devastation. 1 year after the betrayal, perspective gained clarity. My 33rd birthday celebration, an intimate gathering at a new restaurant with carefully selected friends and family, contrasted sharply with the previous year's devastating revelation. "A year ago today, my mother toasted, 'We thought we were protecting you from loss. Instead, we witnessed your incredible rebirth.' I've never been prouder." The journey toward that rebirth had required intentional reconstruction in all life domains. Financial security now included quarterly credit monitoring, separate checking and investment accounts, with enhanced verification protocols and regular consultation with a financial advisor who specialized in identity theft recovery. Physical security encompassed an advanced apartment security system, strategic social media privacy management, and comprehensive background checks for potential business or personal relationships. The precautions initially felt like paranoia until gradually integrating into normal routine. Emotional security proved most challenging, yet most crucial. Therapy sessions evolved from crisis management to deeper exploration of relationship patterns and trust rebuilding. Journaling documented progress from raw victimhood through anger toward eventual perspective and integration. "The experience doesn't define you," my therapist reminded during our transition to monthly sessions. "It informed your growth, but doesn't determine your capacity for future connection." Relationships with family transformed through shared adversity. Weekly dinners evolved from obligation to cherished tradition. Conversations deepening beyond surface updates into meaningful exploration of values and aspirations. My mother's intuition earned newfound respect rather than resistance. Her concerns now recognized as protection rather than intrusion. "I always knew something felt off about him," she admitted during a contemplative evening conversation. "But I couldn't identify specific concerns beyond instinct. I questioned my own judgment. That makes 2 of us," I responded, a newfound ability to find humor in painful truth marking a significant healing milestone. My brother Noah's protective instincts balanced with respect for my independence, offering security suggestions without imposing solutions. Our relationship matured through crisis into balanced adult siblinghood, mutual respect replacing remnants of childhood hierarchy. Dad's steady wisdom provided a foundation throughout recovery, his financial expertise guiding practical rebuilding, while emotional support remained consistently available without overwhelming. His example of healthy masculinity helped preserve my ability to eventually consider trusting men again, despite the profound betrayal. Personal growth extended beyond relationship patterns into broader self-understanding. Therapy revealed people-pleasing tendencies and excessive self-reliance had created vulnerability to exploitation. Perfectionism and achievement orientation had prevented acknowledging relationship concerns that contradicted the successful image I maintained. The warning signs were there. I journaled 6 months into recovery. Not just his behaviors, but my discomfort I repeatedly dismissed. I prioritized relationship success over personal truth. Never again. Learning to honor internal warning systems became a critical recovery component. Physical sensations of unease, emotional discomfort with explanations, cognitive dissonance between words and actions. These subtle signals now received immediate attention rather than rationalization. Dating remained a distant consideration until 18 months after the discovery. Initial attempts felt mechanical, hypervigilance preventing authentic connection. Gradually, careful selection and appropriate pacing allowed tentative steps toward potential partnership, though with radically different expectations and boundaries. I'm not looking for someone to complete me or fulfill a specific role, I explained to Ethan, the first man I dated seriously post-Leo. I'm whole independently. A relationship would be complementary, not foundational to my identity. The distinction represented a profound shift from my previous relationship approach. Compatibility replaced completion as the primary objective. Mutual growth superseding role fulfillment. Healthy skepticism balanced with openness. Verification accompanying trust. Professional counseling supported this evolution in relationship perspective. Trust should be earned incrementally, my therapist advised, not given completely upfront or withheld permanently. It's a dynamic process requiring ongoing confirmation. This balanced approach extended beyond romantic connections into friendships, professional relationships, and family dynamics. Boundaries became clearly articulated rather than internally assumed. Expectations explicitly discussed rather than implicitly presumed. Financial independence gained renewed priority. Emergency funds established with greater protection than previous savings. Investment strategies shifted toward greater personal control and diversification. Regular education supporting growing financial literacy. The greatest protection against exploitation is knowledge, my financial advisor emphasized during a quarterly review. Understanding exactly where your assets are and how they're managed prevents future vulnerability. 2 years after the betrayal, life rebuilt on a more authentic foundation than before. Career advancement continued through intentional development rather than reactive achievement. My home environment reflected genuine personal preferences rather than compromise with a partner's tastes. Relationships, platonic and potentially romantic, developed at an appropriate pace with healthy boundaries. Most importantly, my relationship with myself strengthened through adversity. Self-trust gradually rebuilt through consistent self-honoring choices and boundaries. Internal wisdom received attention previously reserved for external validation. Personal values clarified through contrast with their violation. The experience that once threatened to define my life story gradually integrated into a broader narrative, a painful chapter rather than an entire book. Victimhood transformed into survivorship, then eventually into thriving beyond mere recovery. The lessons extracted from betrayal proved valuable beyond personal healing, offering insights shared carefully with others experiencing similar exploitation. Trust your intuition when something feels wrong, even without concrete evidence. Value family and friends who see truth when you're temporarily blinded. Recognize strength emerges through surviving what once seemed unsurvivable. Understand freedom exists in releasing relationships that require sacrificing authenticity. Build a life on foundations you control entirely. These truths emerged not as bitter warnings, but as empowering guideposts, directing future choices toward greater authenticity and self-protection without sacrificing openness to genuine connection. Life rebuilds differently after profound betrayal, not replicating what existed before, but creating something stronger, more authentic, and ultimately more satisfying than what was lost. What's your story of trusting your intuition or experiencing betrayal? Have you ever had that moment when everything suddenly made sense in hindsight? Thank you for listening to my journey. Take care and good luck.